Hey, so let me tell you how two developers quit on me within 48 hours. Two development companies I was working with, one was doing the entire build, the other was doing specific functions that were a little more advanced that I needed a higher level developer to work on. So the first one was it was some time coming. So they started getting slower and they did the whole design, and the deployment I thought was part of it, but it was separate. So that's one thing I learned, to make sure that the deployment is included. If you're, be very specific in your wording. Don't assume. Be outright so things don't surprise you. I feel like anywhere where you're kind of, you're missing thing, or you're kind of overlooking, say, oh, it might not be an issue. That's most likely where you're gonna get taken advantage of, or you overlooking and say, oh, it's just a small detail. That's probably where they're going over your head. So you have to have all of the areas accounted for, and it has to be stated outright, part of the agreement. They know that and basically, yeah, make sure all of those things are accounted for. So basically, getting back to the quitting, uh, he let me know that one of his people was getting married or something. It kind of sounded like an excuse, like they may have gotten another contract and they didn't want to focus on this one, as because they may have underestimated the amount it would take and the amount of the pricing they did for it. So I think they kind of got the sweet part of the deal, where they did the design for a low amount, for a high price, where I thought the deployment would be included, but it wasn't. And then after we did another project to include the deployment, and it wasn't as expensive, and then it seemed like the deployment was a large part of the work. So they kind of meandered, went slow, dragged their feet, or they moved slow. It originally went from 7 days to like 45 days, and then they weren't delivering on that 45 days. So I basically wasted a couple months, few months, having them drag their feet. So lesson learned: if they're not meeting their milestones day one, day two, you can't let it drag on, because at the end of the day, it's going to be your time wasted, and they're going to be apologetic, oh, sorry, this, that, but it's your value that's diminished. So you have to be on top of that. You can't be too like, oh, for the sake of wanting to be a good person that created the project and nice to people, like, that's fine, but you'll get taken advantage of. So yeah, the other person, he finished most of the work, which which he did most of the work, and he did it well, and he did it quick, and we were waiting on the other developer to create the environment so he can code for those specific functions. So like we were waiting on pages to get done, things like that, so he can do the specific functions on there. So he did 3 out of 4, but then I guess like someone he works with, or he says it's like his manager or something like that, which I thought the entire time this guy was independent and he was like just one developer doing everything. But I guess another guy came into the picture, messaging on the same account. So he said, I'll help, and I guess I explained the final part of the project to him, so I guess he'll take over. But at the end, moral of the story, I had two developers that were working on the project stop working on the project within 48 hours. So it's, it goes to show that things can change really fast, and you should have backup plans. And luckily I post projects pretty regularly, so I feel I'm kind of strong in sourcing developers now. I know what to look for. I know what I'm not even going to waste time looking at. And basically I have to get a new development company to finish the deployment. And one trick that I do that may not be the best, but I feel the developers, they just bid on your project right away. They don't look at it. You post a project, 5 seconds later, there's 10 bids on it already. So they're just clicking like, yes, this is in the ballpark what I'm looking for. This has skills. I'm bidding. I don't really care. And then we'll sort the details out later. So the project, it was kind of like maybe in the $1,000 range, but I posted it in the $3,000 to $5,000 range because I feel like you get the quality developers. And then you kind of pitch to them like, hey, this is a smaller project. Do you mind taking this on for this price? So they're just bidding on projects that are in a specific price range, and I filter out the ones that have a certain amount of experience. So at least a certain amount of feedback, so maybe like 20 feedback, and you should go through the feedback to make sure that these are the larger projects. They're not $20 projects. So if you're gonna commit, and also one of the things I look at is repeat hire rate. From my experience, the ones with repeat hire rate are more quality, because people posting projects usually have more than one project. So if you do a good job, they're not gonna waste their time with another person and just give it to you. So that leads to that gets a higher repeat hire rate. So that's another thing to put some weight on. And yeah, I'm back at it. Posted the project. It's live the first day, and I'm gonna go through the people and kind of pitch them on what I would like help with. I have all the details. I have all the documents, and maybe I can create another video on what documents I provided them. If you have any questions about the process, please feel free to comment. Please give me any feedback, and thanks again. Please subscribe, like this video, and I'll have more coming soon. Thanks.